The man who fashions himself as the new sultan of a revived Ottoman Empire has big dreams, and one of them could well be to build an Islamic army against the state of Israel. A Turkish newspaper closely allied with President Recep Tayyip Erdogan and his ruling party published an article in December entitled "A Call for Urgent Action." The Middle East Media Research Institute reports it's the brainchild of one of Erdogan's closest advisors. It looks like a blueprint for an Islamic military action against Israel. It calls on the 57 Muslim nations of the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, or OIC, to launch a joint military operation against Israel. Such an army would be mammoth. The OIC nations together make up more than 1.5 billion people. The plan calls for staging areas near Israel's border, from which an initial force of 250,000 soldiers would attack Israel. But is it a real threat? Former Turkish parliament member Aykan Erdemir told us he's skeptical.
I would say this piece has more to do with domestic politics than with foreign policy. Erdogan is a very complex politician, and when it comes to Israel, he compartmentalizes. On the one hand, Israel is often at the top of his targets. But at the same time, Erdogan also manages to continue bilateral relations of trade and cooperation.
After the Trump administration's official recognition of Jerusalem as the capital of Israel, Erdogan turned up the anti-Israel rhetoric, calling Israel a state of occupation and terrorism. He's also turned on an old NATO ally, the United States, especially over U.S. support for the Kurds, warning the Americans could get, quote, the Ottoman slap.
Erdogan continues to make threats against U.S., accusing U.S. to be kind of the mastermind of a global conspiracy alongside Jews to undermine Turkey.
Turkey continues to hold American missionary pastor Andrew Brunson on charges he was a mastermind in the 2016 coup attempt, a claim the American Center for Law and Justice, which is assisting Brunson, has branded ridiculous. Erdemir agrees.
We argue that Pastor Brunson is basically a hostage, and Erdogan uses him as a pawn.
Erdogan's anti-U.S. and anti-Israel campaigns have worked. Most Turkish citizens now believe the U.S. is the #1 threat to Turkey, just as an overwhelming majority are anti-Semitic and anti-Israel. Whether the plan for a Muslim army to move against Israel is a serious threat or not, the fact there are voices calling for such action is alarming. The fact that it comes from persons close to Erdogan, even more alarming. And those voices in the Islamic world are not likely to go away. Dale Hurd, CBN News.
Looks like Israel has yet another enemy. We're actually gotten used to this coming out of Iran, where they're talking actively of wiping Israel off the map. They're on a quest to acquire nuclear weapons. They're trying to create a land bridge from Iran through Iraq, through Syria, through southern Lebanon, directly so that they can invade Israel. And now we have another player, Turkey, arising, saying, we want to restore the Ottoman Empire. We want to restore an Islamic caliphate. We want to wipe Israel off the map. Let's get a huge army together and ally ourselves and march on Israel. Well, you look at the Bible, you look at Ezekiel chapter 38, it talks about things like this. When Israel is at peace, well, that's exactly the time when its neighbors will rise up to strike. And lots of biblical scholars say that Gog and Magog listed in that chapter is not Russia, it's Turkey.